Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Zach, and today we're diving into one of the most fascinating topics in psychology and neuroscience: relationships. Why do we fall in love? Why do we become attached to certain people? And what actually happens inside the brain when we experience connection, trust, heartbreak, or even conflict? To help us understand the science behind all of this, I'm joined by neuroscientist and relationship researcher Dr. Olivia Carter. Olivia, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Zach. I'm excited to be here. Relationships are one of the most important parts of human life, and modern neuroscience has taught us a lot about why we think, feel, and behave the way we do in close relationships.
Let's start with a question that almost everyone has wondered about. Why can attraction happen so quickly? Sometimes people meet someone and feel a connection within seconds.
That's a great question. The brain is constantly processing information even before we're fully aware of it. When we meet someone, our brain rapidly evaluates facial expressions, body language, voice tone, eye contact, and many other social signals. Research suggests that these evaluations happen extremely quickly. The brain is essentially asking, is this person interesting? Are they trustworthy? Do I want to know more about them? Attraction is not just about appearance. It's the result of many biological and psychological processes working together.
That's fascinating. Many people also talk about dopamine when discussing love and attraction. What role does dopamine actually play?
Dopamine is often called a reward chemical, but it's more accurate to think of it as a motivation signal. When something feels exciting, rewarding, or meaningful, dopamine activity can increase. In romantic attraction, dopamine may contribute to feelings of excitement, anticipation, and curiosity. It's one reason why people often think about someone repeatedly when they're developing feelings. The brain begins to pay special attention to experiences that seem rewarding or important.
So that's why people can find themselves constantly checking their phone after meeting someone they like.
Exactly. The brain becomes highly attentive to potential rewards. It's not necessarily irrational. It's simply how our reward and attention systems are designed to function.
Let's talk about emotional attachment. Why do people become deeply attached to one another?
Attachment is a fundamental human need. From infancy, our brains are designed to seek safety, connection, and support from other people. Over time, when someone consistently provides comfort, understanding, and reliability, the brain begins to associate that person with security. This creates emotional bonds that can become very powerful. Neurochemicals such as oxytocin are believed to play a role in strengthening those bonds.
Many people have heard of oxytocin being called the love hormone. Is that accurate?
It's a simplified description, but there is some truth to it. Oxytocin is associated with social bonding, trust, and connection. However, relationships are far more complex than a single chemical. Healthy relationships involve many brain systems working together, including those involved in emotion, memory, reward, and decision-making.
Another topic people often discuss is childhood experiences. Can our early experiences really affect our adult relationships?
Research suggests they can. Early experiences help shape what psychologists call attachment styles. These patterns influence how comfortable people feel with closeness, trust, and emotional vulnerability. That doesn't mean someone's future is predetermined. People can learn new relationship skills throughout life. But early experiences often provide the foundation for how we initially approach relationships.
Why do misunderstandings happen so often, even between people who care about each other?
One reason is that the brain doesn't simply receive information. It interprets information. We all have assumptions, expectations, and past experiences that influence how we understand situations. Sometimes people believe they're communicating clearly, but the other person interprets the message differently. That's why effective communication is one of the strongest predictors of relationship success.
What actually happens in the brain during an argument?
When emotions become intense, stress systems can become more active. This may reduce our ability to think calmly and objectively. In those moments, people are often reacting emotionally rather than thoughtfully. That's why taking a pause, listening carefully, and regulating emotions can be so important during conflict.
That leads to another question. What separates healthy relationships from unhealthy ones?
One of the biggest differences is how conflict is handled. Research consistently shows that healthy couples are not conflict-free. Instead, they manage disagreements respectfully. They listen, communicate honestly, take responsibility for mistakes, and work toward solutions rather than trying to defeat each other in an argument.
Let's talk about trust. Why is trust so important from a scientific perspective?
Trust reduces uncertainty. Human brains generally prefer predictability because it helps us feel safe. When trust is present, people spend less mental energy worrying about threats and more energy building connection. Over time, trust creates a sense of emotional security that strengthens relationships.
What about heartbreak? Why can losing a relationship feel so painful?
Because social connection is incredibly important to the brain. Research has found that some brain regions involved in emotional pain overlap with regions activated during physical pain. When a meaningful relationship ends, the brain must adapt to a major change. That's why heartbreak can feel emotionally overwhelming. However, the brain is also remarkably adaptable, and most people gradually recover with time and support.
So people really can heal after heartbreak?
Absolutely. The brain has a tremendous capacity for adaptation. Supportive friendships, healthy habits, meaningful activities, and time all help the recovery process. While the experience can be painful, many people emerge from it with greater self-awareness and resilience.
Before we finish, what's the most important lesson that science teaches us about relationships?
If I had to choose one lesson, it would be this. Strong relationships are built, not found. Trust, respect, communication, and emotional support consistently appear in scientific research as key ingredients of healthy relationships. The strongest relationships aren't perfect. They're relationships where two people continue choosing to understand, support, and grow with one another over time.
That's a wonderful note to end on. Dr. Olivia Carter, thank you for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you, Zaki. It was a pleasure being here.
And thank you to everyone listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to join us again for more conversations about psychology, science, and human behavior. Until next time, take care.